the Lord is faithful and he wants your good. And so
Mm.
if you pray and you sincerely follow him, and his promptings, as Sister Audrey said, it's praying to the Holy Spirit. If you follow those promptings, he won't let you down.
To In the Company of Charity, a podcast from the Daughters of Charity. And I'm here, this is Sister Elizabeth, and I'm here with my good friend and co-host, Sister Liz Sjoberg. How are you doing, Sister Liz?
I am doing great. I am getting ready to go on 8-day annual retreat. It's something we do every year, 8 days of silence with the Lord. And this has been a very special year because we can't really travel much.
That's right. Normally we'd be making them in specific places with other Daughters of Charity from around the country, and we're kind of stuck in either making them at home or making them in more local places. So you're leaving tomorrow, is that right?
Yep. By the time the people listen to this episode, I will be deep into retreat at a Benedictine monastery up the road.
That's fabulous. That's great. And I can imagine that right now your room is in chaos as you prepare to plan. Do I want to take this? Do I want to take this? Am I going to read this?
That book.
Right. Where's my journal? Get my prayer book out. What am I going to wear? Yeah.
All of the things.
All of the above. Yeah, I know it. We all go through it.
Yeah. But I am bringing my guitar, which you typically wouldn't be able to if you're flying someplace. So it'll be exciting to be able to play guitar and sing and be out in the desert on a ranch. So it's going to be awesome.
That's fabulous. That is so great. See, it's probably providential, really, because you'd be in a retreat house somewhere with other Daughters of Charity, and absolutely you would not be able to play your guitar.
No. Or
not
I could,
freely,
but it would.
Yeah. Might bother some people. Yeah, you could find a place to go out and play. Yeah, so that's great. That's great. I always think too, when you go on retreat, if you're driving, it's kind of an advantage because then you can take more stuff than if you're flying. And that sounds terrible, but it's like, do I want to read these books? Do I want to have this with me? What if I feel like I want to read this? And you can just put it all in the car. And then if you don't use it, it's okay, But the trick is to leave it all in the car until you really feel like you want it. Otherwise, you can get a little overwhelmed with too much stuff. So
you can't have too much input. You have to keep it simple.
That's right. Let God do the inputting, right?
Exactly.
I mean, you can't go in and be like, I'm going to fill up with all this stuff already planned.
Nope. But the desert, I think, is going to be a big theme.
I think that's great. I think that's absolutely fabulous. Now, when I was on my retreat, it snowed. So that just tells you, again, Sister Liz and I are on two different planets sometimes.
Essentially.
Essentially, yeah. But we're always together in heart, right?
Yes.
Oh,
Sisters in community, BFFs.
There you go. Which brings us to our episode.
Yes.
And today it is a really, I think, a fun episode. Maybe it's more fun to you and me than it's going to be to anybody else and our guests. But you have a nice, wonderful interview with, really not even an interview. It's kind of just a conversation of three friends, three sister friends, three sisters who are from different communities who met when you were all in college. And I, Sister Audrey Francis and Sister Ann Catherine and yourself have this wonderful conversation. And I just was so excited listening to the three of you because I knew you when, right? I was vocation director. We always make sure to know that Sister Liz came when I was vocation director. And I remember these young women then, you were all just young women, kind of just seeking God's wisdom and trying to figure out what God wanted for you. The campus ministry at the time was just alive, really wonderful campus ministry at then Mary Washington College, right?
Now University of Mary Washington.
That's right. And I just remember, the excitement and the joy and just the way God was working in everyone's life. And it just, as I was listening to this, it just reminded me that we never know where God's going to call us. We never know from which God will call us, and to where God will call us, right? So the connection to the campus ministry wasn't necessarily to be in discernment, but it created an environment for the three of you and others to discern and to, you know, really be open to God's call. And that was very exciting. I just remember those days of retreat and
work
coming
camps
down,
and
work
service
camps,
experiences.
and what was the supper seminar?
Supper seminar on Thursday nights.
I remember all of those. All of it was very exciting at the time. And, you know, I remember it kind of, you know, helped my own vocation. I was only about 7 years vocation at the time. And it really helped me to see, again, what the first fervor looks like. And it's so joyous and it's so wonderful. And you can hear it in your voices that it's still there. You know, that first fervor of God's call, that first realization of God's love and God's grace. And also that God called each of you to a different community. You know,
Yeah.
I was used to think as vocation director, I'm not a recruiter for my own community, right? The Army does that. As a vocation director, you're really there to help women or men discover where God is calling them and to help them find that place and to live out their vocation in the best way they can. And you three, and of course, Mother Revelation, right?
Yep, she's the fourth, you know.
She's the fourth. The four of you are just incredible, and it gives me great hope in God's love and his desire for women to continue to come to religious life.
Yeah.
So tell us about what you felt during this.
Well, I think that the theme for me when we're reflecting on this is there's a lot to be said for having people around you who are people of faith who can support you in your life and your relationship with God. And, you know, we know that the saints don't often just come in ones. They come in twos and threes and saint friends. And, you know, for us is Vincent and Louise and Francis and Claire and Mother Teresa and JP2. Like these are people who they've surrounded themselves with other people who care about similar things. And so Mary Washington and the campus ministry there is a great example of creating that environment where people can feel like they really are free to follow God's path for them. And, you know, it was, I don't know, the reason that we all aligned, I don't know how God's plan is and all of that, but it certainly was a huge support to all of us. And I think everybody's really going to be uplifted by this story. And whether you're discerning or not, I think the key is surrounding yourself with people who love you and with people who also want to follow the plan of God for their lives.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I hope everyone enjoys it. And remember that, you know, we're here. If you have any questions, you can email us at companyofcharity@gmail.com. If you have any questions about discernment, you can check in with us because we're here. We're here to listen and we're here to help you through what might feel like some lonely times, but know that you're not alone in this. There are people out there who want to support you and want to be with you and want to help you find that place that God's calling you to. So everyone, good listen on this one. Have fun, and you'll hear Sister Liz and the excitement in her voice.
Yep, I love it. Enjoy, guys. Hello, everybody. Sister Liz here, and I'm with two special sisters, sister friends of mine. The three of us went to school together and subsequently became sisters in various communities. And so I welcome Sister Audrey Francis and Sister Ann Catherine.
Thank you, sister. Such a gift to be here. I know you've been waiting your whole life for this opportunity. And I'm just thrilled. I'm so thrilled.
Oh, yeah. It's just so nice to see the two of you again, even if it's online at the same time. It's just, this is awesome.
And this is really the culmination of a dream that I had, that we would get together and reminisce about campus ministry and the faith and living it out in college. And so thank you for making this work. It's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you for organizing. And
Yeah.
So I wanted to just start off and let you introduce yourselves, maybe give everybody a fun fact of the year you graduated
Oh,
and
gosh.
what was your major and all that stuff. Just a little bit about you guys.
Okay. Who goes first?
You, Sister Audrey, go for it.
All right. So I'm Sister Audrey Francis, and graduated with the same class as Sister Elizabeth. You woot woot, yes. And so I graduated with a major in social anthropology, which my parents were not too thrilled about, because they were like, what are you going to do with that? And I said, I'm not sure. But little did we know. But it turns out, God makes things work to the good and all of that good stuff. So it turns out that getting a college education has come in kind of handy. So yeah, I guess that's the fun fact, is that I have a weird major that a lot of people haven't heard of.
And what community did you join here?
So I joined the Oblate Sisters of St. Francis de Sales, who I had the joy of meeting while at Mary Washington, because Sister Frances Carroll was actually participating in campus ministry, and with the choir especially, was involved with the choir there. So that's, yeah, great joy, obviously.
That's awesome. And she is a gem. It was
Oh my God.
so much fun to have her in the choir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we are actually now posted in the same house for the first time since I entered, just this past year. So that's been great.
Wow, that's great.
You'll have to tell her we said hello.
I will.
Please do. Please do.
And Sister Ann Catherine, you're up.
Well, great. Well, I'm Sister Ann Catherine. I'm a member of the Sisters of Life, and I graduated shortly after Sister Liz and Sister Audrey Francis with a major in mathematics. Which, has come in handy, and the Lord uses everything, even when you don't expect it. I'm here in New York, been here for 12 years now, if you can believe that.
Wow.
And it's wonderful.
Yes, and I am the class of 2004, along with Sister Audrey Francis.
Whoop. Again.
Fun fact, we were the last class to graduate from Mary Washington College.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Before it went over to the University of Mary Washington.
Mary Washington.
And for those who don't know, it is a, correct me if I'm wrong, small state school just south of Washington, D.C., Fredericksburg, Virginia.
You got that right.
I was a biology major, so that's, I think, the most bizarre of the three. As far as becoming a sister.
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
Because you spent your summers doing like lab work, right?
Yeah, for the USDA. And that's how I realized I didn't want to be a PhD, because those people, you're in the lab under the hood a lot, and not a lot of human interaction. So.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, man.
I like to say I also majored in campus ministry. I think that's fair to say.
Well, I think we could all say that.
Yeah.
So I think maybe we could just talk a little bit about our experience and what is it that made, I would say, in a secular term, the stars align in a way, God's providence, as we would say, that it was such a powerful and uplifting campus ministry / college experience. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
Oh my gosh. Well, as I was praying the Holy Spirit before this, because I've never done a podcast before, so there's a first time for everything.
Welcome.
But the first thing that came to my mind was actually work camp. You believe it? It was just to reflect on. It was such such a unique and blessed time in my own life. And so it wasn't during the normal school year, but it was connected with campus ministry, and just the gift that it was to serve in Kentucky, the poorest of the poor there, and to grow in my faith there, with in community with the other students. And we always had students give talks, and we had a priest with us, and it was a blessed time that really, I think, was formative in my own life, my own journey to religious life. So,
Wow. Yeah. I don't even know really where to start, because partly because there was, well, for me, that was where my faith life basically began, during freshman year. So we were all welcomed to and encouraged to go on a retreat, and I was raised Catholic, and I'm so grateful for that. But like so many people, I think today, didn't realize the fullness of the gift that I had, in being a Catholic, in being baptized and all of that. And just on the retreat that I went on in my first year there, I was at a point where I really was reaching out to wishing to know more about God, not just to know more about him, but to know him. And that hunger had been fed because of what I saw in the campus ministry, because I saw the other students who, like, these were people who were excited about praying. So, and I thought, what is this? What is that? Who are these people who want to go pray a rosary? But I hadn't prayed a rosary since, I don't know, probably second grade or something. And just being around these people and led to more and more questions. I wanted to know the Lord, but I had so many questions, and that was God's providence in my life, was that he brought me there to a time and a place where I could just try praying, for myself, and just that we were encouraged to go to Eucharistic adoration. I had never done that before, so that was an eye-opener. And the weekend of the retreat, I prayed for faith for the first time in my life. And on the next day, my worldview changed. And then I had the support. When we got back to campus, there were other people who were excited about their faith too, and who would be excited to go to daily mass with me, and so just yeah, that's when people ask me how did I end up like where I ended up, I always have to go back to the campus ministry. I have to say that it started with God coming into my life through these wonderful people, through the gift of learning the beauty of the sacraments and the beauty of Holy Scripture and all these things that had been in my life, but that I hadn't unwrapped the package before.
And for those who don't know the layout of Mary Washington, for the non-insiders, the campus ministry is literally across the street from the main campus, and there happens to be a sidewalk that goes straight to the building. I mean, it was pretty impressive.
The crosswalk, yeah.
I think it used to be the post office, but I could be wrong.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
I mean, unless that's a rumor, but I think that's what I would have said.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
So, I mean, it really was so convenient to just head over and have this second home. And we would be remiss if we didn't sort of shout out some of those key figures. I think, at least in my estimation, the first couple of years with Father Jack Peterson,
oh my gosh,
Amy Celio,
Yeah.
you know, the McKennas were these key figures who were adults, you know, who were into their faith, who served as mentors for us. So it wasn't just, I think, just about the community among peers, because that's
Right.
really important to have that.
Yeah.
But to see these others who cared enough about young people to want to spend time with us,
Yeah.
which is crazy.
Yeah.
But amazing.
I know. And then Father Escalante came in, and we had, I mean, it's just thinking, we could name a lot of people, Judy and Karen and Rita. I mean, all these wonderful people who were there. And I was reflecting on that, just the campus ministry itself, like the building itself housed so much grace, you know, and just, I mean, I don't know. I was thinking about when I was a freshman, and Sister Liz, when it was orientation, and we're like going to mass, and then there's a whole group from the campus ministry going to ice cream, and it's like this community that's formed, and it was around, like, it was prayer and the sacraments first, and then, you know, and God first, and it was just so nourishing, and I think that was key. I mean, I think I would have spent a lot of time at the campus ministry, but those first days and like that first year, like you're saying, Sister Audrey, just like being connected there and having, like, I guess, responding to grace, really, then I never left.
Those couches, man, those couches were great.
And there were all these activities, you know, you could always say, oh yeah, I have a reason to go over there. Every evening there was something, half the mornings.
I have a very strong memory, and this, I believe, was probably the year before you arrived, Sister Ann Catherine, but on 9/11, when the towers fell, you know, it seemed like everybody just came to the campus ministry. Everybody, you know, none of us knew
it was just the natural.
What to do or what was really going on. And, you know, folks who had parents working in the area couldn't get a hold of them. My dad actually flew out to Denver for a meeting the day before. And I kept asking myself, like, did he fly out yesterday or today? You know? And so it was a powerful time, a very, obviously very sad and scary time, but to know that we could come to this place and be together and try to understand this experience. And I think that was the first time, I mean, we had a mass there that night. I don't know if Sister Audrey, if you were there for that. But, you know, to see a priest in Father Jack just like trying to wrestle with this and even crying in the homily, and that I thought it was a really transformational moment, a time where we could be together in sorrow and in prayer during that day.
Yeah, I remember being struck too that as soon as we knew something was going on, he was there, Father Jack was there and ready to pray with us, and that the instinct was we need to have mass.
And so, you know, being together in university and all that life brings, it seems like maybe that wouldn't necessarily be a time where people start to think about their life choices and, you know, in our case, discernment. Can the two of you maybe speak a little bit about where you guys were in your discernment, or if that was something very clear at that time, or just sort of an inkling?
Well, I was thinking, you know, I always think of my freshman year, and we actually went on a discernment retreat that November to Emmitsburg. And for me, that was like what gave me permission really to discern, like, here's these doors. And I just remember one of the priests during my time at Mary Washington saying, like, you have these doors and the Lord's going to open doors and walk through them, and then he'll keep guiding you. And I just felt like that was one of those doors. And it just, seeing other of my peers like growing in their faith and eager to do the Lord's will just really gave me permission to ask the Lord what he wanted of me and what he was asking of me in my life. And so that was like the springboard. And then I just, to be surrounded by faith-filled students that became my friends, that were, I don't know, were there in the good times and bad throughout throughout college, and but really growing in my faith through the campus ministry. And I was also reflecting on Our Lady, and just I desired through like just different graces I received, whether it was a mass reading or a mass homily or a retreat talk, just desiring to say yes, as Our Lady did at the Annunciation, and just really felt myself asking the Lord throughout my time in college, like, what are you asking of me, Jesus? What do you want me to do with my life? And yeah, it just was a beautiful experience. And I didn't enter the community right after I graduated, but I was had really received grace in college to know that I was called to religious life. This is what he was calling me to. So yeah, just some thoughts.
Wow.
Sister Audrey, what about you?
Yeah, so I the thought also first came during college time, definitely. And one of the funny things to me is that I feel like God had always planned this, not surprisingly, but that I couldn't have gotten it or couldn't have understood it until I started to get to know him, until I started to have a relationship with him. Because when I looked back, I was like, I literally had only met two sisters before in my life, and both of them had really struck me. And one of them was a sister who had lived overseas, and she had lived in the slums of Cairo. Actually, she's very famous in France. She's a French sister, and I just had to talk to her. I had to talk to her after she spoke. I happened to hear her speak one time, and so yeah. But the thought didn't come until I don't know, about 6 months after the freshman year retreat. So into sophomore year, then the thought kind of hit, like during prayer, like, oh. I think that's what you want, Lord. And so then I, started exploring it. And I remember going to Father Jack right the next day and talking to him about it. And I was actually super excited. I was like, I know my life's meaning now. And he was very wise and calm. And he was like, okay, all right. So do you know any sisters? And I said, no. and he's kind of like, well, maybe you should start there. Start finding out what the life is like. And so like what you were saying earlier, Sister Liz, just that it was really good that we were surrounded by these really wise adults.
Exactly.
And yeah, oh my gosh. So then I was like, well, I know Sister Frances Carroll, she sings with the choir, why don't I ask her? And she was like, sure, I'll chat with you. And then little by little, I started asking, like, so how do I know that really was from the Lord? How do I know that wasn't just some fantasy that seems really, in a spiritual way, kind of romantic? And how do you know that you're following the Lord's will, and that that you're following his inspirations? And so little by little, I started kind of learning more, praying really, really hard until I was ready to go in with the Oblate Sisters and see where the Lord would take it from there.
And I think it's a good point to realize it's a mix of experiences that help us to know, the next steps, and, possibly the Lord's will is, I think from my experience, World Youth Day in 2002 in Toronto was a real mountaintop experience. And for those of us who went, it was, a few of us were like, let's go find these, like we called it habit chasing. We would pick some sisters and like literally follow them and see where they went. Because the missionaries of charity are pretty amazing, and you'd see them and you'd be like, oh, there's Mother Teresa's sisters, and and then we picked some other group with a crazy looking habit and follow them. And of course they had a vocation village. I don't know if that was the actual term, but where they had, of course, the Daughters of Charity were there. I know, I think Sister Denise and Sister Elizabeth were also there. And so, these were really powerful experiences where you could say like, wow, yeah, I think God may be calling me. But I like the point of what you're saying, Sister Audrey, of you have to keep in mind that it's a day-to-day process, and it's not just, okay, this is it for always and forever. That it's a continual yes. And again, if you can't follow the Lord if you don't know him, or you're not putting in your part of it, of responding to that grace.
Yeah. I remember World Youth Day 2002 too, but I wasn't there with you.
You went in high school?
I was there. I had just graduated high school. And but we talk about it here often, just the graces received at World Youth Days. Just sisters we've got a number of sisters who were at various World Youth Days on various trips and various ways. One of our sisters, Sister Naomi from Ireland, just professed her final vows. She met us at World Youth Day Madrid. It was a total fluke experience. They were supposed to go to some Irish place and ended up at the Sisters of Life English place, and met us, and she entered our community. So, but I remember like there was an adoration tent there at World Youth Day, and I think the Sisters of Life were there. I don't have a recollection of any particular experience, but I think that may have been the first time I actually saw a Sister of Life. So, I didn't enter for 6 years, but what grace days those were.
100%.
Yeah. And it's funny how sometimes it just takes time. I think I kind of wanted to enter right away. Once I felt the call to enter with the Oblate Sisters in junior year, and they actually encouraged me to hold off a bit because I was close enough to finishing my degree and all that. And now looking back, I'm like, oh, that was a good thing. I needed to mature a little bit more, but I'm glad I didn't wait any longer than that too. I don't think I could have. I probably would have exploded.
When it's the right thing.
Well, when the Lord calls, I've actually been reflecting on this recently, like his invitation. Like he invites us at various points in our life in various ways, and that's really how I experienced my own call to religious life. It's like an invitation. And so then you receive this like grace, and you're like, I need to respond to his invitation. And he's calling us in various ways and various points in our life, and little and small ways, and in daily things, in our missions, our works, our vocations, and just like when it's from the Lord and you experience that invitation, that call, you just want to respond. So
it's like you'd be crazy not to,
Right?
Right.
When I think about what parts of my discernment in college stand out the most, and I think part of it is when you realize what your calling could be, and you see your life could unfold in a completely different way than maybe you anticipated. I was a biology major, you know, like I wanted to go into infectious disease and cure cancer and, you know, those sorts of things. And then you see like God kind of saying, well, what about this? And what if your life went this way? And there's a detachment in a way that you have to say, okay, maybe this was a dream I had, or maybe this was a plan that I had. And it's okay if it looks different. Maybe we have to ourselves get used to that, in addition to maybe our family members or friends. You know, it's I think one of the cool things about our ministry experience in campus ministry is that it was okay to dream, and it was okay to wrestle with it and to say, well, whoa, what if we started our own order? I don't know if you guys were in on that. The Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, you know, we talked about the rules that we would have, and our habit, and t-shirts that said, I'm a nun, give me free stuff. Like, we had
Oh gosh.
I like that. It's not too late.
Like, but it was okay, those kinds of conversations, and to be like, what if I would become a priest, or what if I would become a sister? You know, those kind of conversations were welcomed, I think.
Well, not only that too, like there were the regular speakers, the supper seminar speakers, and others that I'm sure for me helped plant the seed more consciously, because I had never dreamed, it just had not crossed my conscious mind before, of becoming a sister. I always assumed I would, not sure what job, but that I would get married and raise a family and all of that. But the fact that we had speakers coming in talking about how to follow the Lord in different walks of life, whether religious or married life or what, and you start thinking, oh, okay, so there are different ways. And this is how people are fulfilled in all those different ways too.
Yeah, those were great. I mean, I'm not sure I missed one of those in 4 years.
Yeah.
Supper seminars, everybody.
Free dinner.
Yeah. Not from the food hall.
Oh, don't even get me started on Suka Bag food hall. Well, that'll be a whole different podcast episode.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So as we sort of wrap up and move forward, what kind of advice would you guys give to people who are in that stage of I'm wrestling, I'm thinking, maybe even college students or young adults who might listen to this podcast episode? What would be your advice? Well,
pray to the Holy Spirit. That was probably some of the best advice given to me. So, and you all have probably heard this too. I remember hearing this a lot when I was actively in discernment, that one of the signs that God is calling you, well, a couple of the signs are a deep sense of accompanying peace the more you pray about it and the more you move in that direction, and a sense that you're home. Have you heard that too? I remember hearing that a lot, and I remember also feeling that, like, yeah, this is where I belong. So that was a good touchstone.
Absolutely.
I think the first thing I would say is just the Lord is faithful and he wants your good. And so if you pray and you sincerely follow him, and his promptings, as Sister Audrey said, it's praying to the Holy Spirit. If you follow those promptings, he won't let you down, you know, and he loves you deeply and wants your good. So yeah, I would say prayer, obviously, and then also to find good friends and mentors, because in our conversation today, mentioning like the community and the mentors that were there to help along the way as you follow the Lord in whatever it is he's calling you to.
And I think there's a lot to be said for the communion of saints and for those who have gone before us, to to have those, not just the physical mentors in your life physically, but those mentors that are already in heaven with God, you know, your patron saint, your guardian angels. These are things like people don't really talk about all the time, with those things seen and unseen. And that's where those movements that we sense, those are real things. And I think when we have the mentors, a spiritual director or campus minister, or somebody that we can talk to about that, even a good friend, they can help us to see, oh yeah, that's, you know, that sounds like, or I'm not surprised that you're thinking about religious life, for example. Sometimes the person is the last one to really realize it. Everybody else sees something in it. And to not be afraid to point that out in each other and in our friends.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you guys. Really, this has been so good.
It's so awesome to be together, and even virtually across the country.
To see those smiles.
And we do have to shout out Mother Revelation, who couldn't be with us today.
Oh my gosh.
She is the fourth who also joined Religious Life. But just know that you guys, that we're praying for you, our listeners, and we love you. If there's anything that we can do, just let us know and reach out. Thank you for listening. It's been great.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sister Liz. What a gift.
Thank you.